Last time on Miniverse.
Miniverse.
Where were you?
I was, in the, Alright, man, I'm gonna come clean.
So I did fail the 2-day challenge. I did finish the diorama. In 2 weeks, sure. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Alrighty, so we're going to be making some earth and some ground floor. So I'm going to grab some sand, just pour some sand into our bouquet. Next we're going to be using some foam flocking. Now I'm actually going to wing all this. I don't have a clue how this is going to turn out like, but it's going to be some fun. Like that. Make sure not to breathe that stuff in. And finally, we have some cocoa fiber. I normally use real dirt, but I don't have any prepared. I usually pinch some from a plant pot nearby, but I think a lot of our plants have died here. I'm going to be using some of this cocoa fiber, and I'm going to be trying to keep all these little bits in it. So what we have now is an odd mixture of sand, flock, and some other stuff. And I'm hoping this is going to resemble some earth. Ladies and gentlemen, it did not. So what we're going to be doing now is grabbing our craft PVA glue. You can also add a little bit of water. So we're going to just mix this up and see how it looks like. Oh, that was it's too much water. Hopefully it hasn't ruined it, but we'll find out. So you can see it's making this really weird hodgepodge of stuff. I hope it looks good. It's not going to look good as I put it on, but hopefully in like a day. I think I have grossly underestimated how much I need. Yep. What to do? Oh, bugger. Okay, so things have changed. I don't like this, so we're gonna get rid of it all. Alrighty, so I've returned with a tiny bit of clay. Wow, would you look at that? Oh gosh. So I've cleaned up the base of the diorama from where I put all that crap, basically. I'm just gonna make a small slope here. I don't know why I did all that, waste of time, but we're back. So I'm just gonna make a little slope down here. Just gonna wet my fingers up. So basically I just want a slope so realistically the rebels could get down from the ship here and walk down this nice little slope, ideally. But they're hardened soldiers, they know how to jump down a little cliff. One thing you can do with clay is you can kind of warm it up with your body heat, basically. So if something's not sticking down, like this little bit here, for instance, you can just put your finger on it and it'll heat up nice and good, and then it'll slowly melt into the clay. It's a really good way to get that clay just to adhere to stuff. Alright, so with the clay done, it's time to add this rock. Wow. So we're going to add this rock made from plaster from the Jedi Survivor diorama I made a couple of weeks ago. I made quite a few. So we're going to plop this on here and we're going to use some hot glue to glue on. So while gluing on the terrain bits like the rocks and the sticks, you may find these huge gaps. Now a really easy and cheap way to deal with this is to fill it with more hot glue. Just make sure it's not too hot and runny, as this will either melt the foam or run off the sides. Alright, and finally we're going to add a couple more rocks about here and here. So with the majority of the diorama out the way, it's time to introduce the brave rebels in green. These rebels are going to be discussing their plans behind the enemy lines of the Empire. So to start painting, we're going to base coat them in some olive green. So this is my first test model, where I generally paint the model in the colours I think it should look, just so I know it would look good on the rest of the models. And thankfully, I was actually pretty happy with how it turned out. Because when you do paint a test model and it looks bad, oh man, that's not a good day. With the rebel out of the way, it's time to return back to the diorama, where we will finally fix the base of the diorama. Now, this is where the fun begins. We're going to fry up some dirt for the terrain of the diorama, Basically, you want to keep it frying until all of the steam stops and then it's ready to go. For this, I'm going to be using Smart Mud 2.0 for the base, and I'm going to be rubbing this everywhere. Once the clay had dried, it's time to soak it in some watered down PVA glue, which we could then apply the first coating of sand and the fried earth we made earlier. Next, it's time to sprinkle some isopropyl alcohol all over the base, as this will break all of the surface tension for the final coat of PVA glue. This is also the funnest and most satisfying part of the diorama. After adding all of the mud, it's time to make some borders for the diorama, as this will make it look nicer and not so much like it's some foam on a piece of wood. For this, I'm going to be using pine veneer. If you were doing this, I'd go with a harder wood, but this is all I have for now. I'm going to be attaching this with some double-sided sticky tape. And any gaps in the veneer, we can easily fix this with some more clay. Which then leads us to painting the diorama. So unfortunately I ran out of black spray, which meant I had to prime this whole diorama with my airbrush, which boy oh boy, it takes a while. But after a zenithal highlight, it's time to add patches of green and another base coat of brown all over the diorama for this nice earthy forest feel. And onto our final model. We're painting the wonderful rebel Twi'lek, I don't know. Now for these 4 miniatures, I was in the biggest rush ever, as this was actually recorded yesterday, prior to recording this voiceover, which is recorded 2 to 3 hours before this video goes live. So after painting her boots and skin, it's time for an enamel wash of dark brown, which we're then going to remove for those juicy details. And the last task on the diorama is to paint this rock, which I did with a dark grey base, yellow midtones, and a nice light grey dry brush. So what's left to do is stick on all of the minis to the base. This project took a lot longer than I expected, but I hope you enjoyed it, and if you haven't already, make sure to like that video so more wonderful people can see it. And also, make sure to subscribe for the next video. I've been Reese, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.